Hi guys, I am Jenni James. And this is for lesson 2 of Jenni James Writing Secrets. Hi, welcome. So first off, I want to share with you a little secret, okay? It's just our secret. You can't tell anyone. All right, no one. I want to show you something. Do you want to see it? You see this book? Do you see that name? That is my most favorite author in the whole entire world. I totally love her. Totally love her. Judith A. Lansdowne. Like this. This is another one of her books. You know what? I own every single one of her books. I usually own 2 or 3 copies of her books because I make people read them. And when I make people read my books, I never get them back. So I have to buy more and more books. And most of these books are out of print completely, so I have to find them in places like half.com and all sorts of places like that. But I love Judith A. Lansdowne. Not Jane Austen. I mean, I like Jane Austen, but she's not my favorite. Don't tell anyone I said that. Isn't that awful? But no, Judith A. Lansdowne is. And it's because of Judith A. Lansdowne that I'm doing these classes. Because so many of you guys ask for help on Wattpad, and so many of you ask me to read your stories, and I can't do it. I have 10 children. I just can't, and then at the same time I feel super guilty because there's so many that ask, and then the ones that I do look at, I can't even comment because I wasn't able to look at everyone else's. And you get really, for real, I get a lot of people asking me every day. So I started these classes because the thing is when I started writing Pride and Popularity, I was also a pen pal to my most favorite author in the world. And she was helping me when I lived in England. Mark, my husband, and I, we would throw balls in England, and we lived in this manor home thing. It was this huge old manor home, and we lived in it, and we would throw balls. Our first ball was in that home, and then we moved, and then we threw other balls other places. But and so I emailed Judith because she writes about the 1800s, and so I emailed her. We were friends anyway, and asked her what I should serve at my first ball. I didn't know like what to give people to eat because I wanted it to kind of be like really cool and cool, like a real ball. Anyway, and we talked back and forth for quite a while, and we got to know each other, and she already knew how much I loved her work, but it was because of her, really, that I started believing that I could write, because she was the one who told me that my letters were so descriptive. She said, you would be a great writer. I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? And I was still trying to beg her to write more books at the time. Anyway, when I first started Pride and Popularity, I gave her that first chapter, and she edited it completely, and I didn't know how to write at all. And if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be as good as I am now, because when she edited the whole first chapter and I saw how bad it was, oh, it was awful. It was so awful. I promise, it was awful. When I saw how bad that was, and I learned how to write because of her, I realized when all of you came to me asking me for writing tips and how to write and if I could help you with your books, I mean, I can't help all of you. I'm just one person. I'm just a mom with like 10 kids. I really don't have the time to do what Judith did. Judith, it took her a week to dissect my first chapter and teach me how to write. And so I decided to do these classes all because of her. So you guys can totally thank her. Anyway, so today's lesson is on pacing. I direct theater, and when you're a theater director, you really have to choose your scripts good. And what I do is I look at a script, and I really look at the pacing and how well it's written and how good it is, because I actually started writing my own plays because I didn't really like the scripts that were out there for teenagers and for children, and I was like, are you kidding me? These scripts are they're too long, they're too boring, these kids are going to fall asleep. And so, well, they can be long, they just can't be boring. Anyway, So I started writing my own. But before that, you really have to look at a script, because every scene, every time that curtain closes and then opens again and it looks different and the people are dressed differently, that's a new scene. And that means people had to come on the stage and take down that whole set and put up a whole new set. So every scene better matter, okay? They have to count for something. They better be worth it, because you don't want to lose your audience. You don't want your audience to fall asleep. So I learned this secret when I started writing, because I realized if I'm going to write a scene and I'm going to take you guys to a place, like say she's at home, or say she's at I don't know, at a restaurant talking to her friends, something better happen in that restaurant. Something amazing better happen in that restaurant. Maybe the boy walks in, something to keep the story going, something to keep the girls excited, better be happening, or we don't need to go to that restaurant. We just don't. We don't even need to know about it. And that's what I find a lot of people have problems with in their stories, because they'll get so descriptive, and then they have to, oh, well, okay, now I got to take her through to the next day. So then they take us home to her house, and yeah, it's great to meet the family, but if the family isn't going to say something that day, then we don't have to meet them. So she goes home, and then we see her, I don't know, take a shower, and we see her get dressed, and we see her eat dinner, and we see her do all of this stuff, and she doesn't need to do that. Just, no, wrap it up. Get us to the good part. Unless it has to happen for a reason, don't take us there. You really, really want to watch your pacing. Now, that said, your characters do need to be developed enough to have friends. It has to be like real life. She needs to actually have a family. So if her family's going to be there, there needs to be a reason. If we're going to meet them, it has to be a setup for something else. And we'll talk about character development and friends and all that later, but I just really, really want you to know about your pacing. Now, sometimes, though, people speed it up too much, and that's what we were talking about last week, where sometimes you're just telling what happened. Yeah, I went and he kissed me and it was great and we went to school. No. You've got to slow that down, and we want to really actually see that part. So you've got to really play with it. Tug and play. Show us what scenes you want to show us. Put it out like a movie or like a theater play, and really show us, make each scene, make each chapter count. Okay? What your home fun assignment is this week, I want you to take your most favorite author, take their book down, or books, whatever, and study them. Okay? Find your favorite scenes. Find out why you love this author. Open up and read. How do they capture you? Look at the parts where they decide to slow down and give you lots and lots of detail. And then look at the parts where they just kind of blurred over and just rushed through. Find out how they did that, why they did it. Find out how in the world it is that they capture your hearts. Judith A. Lansdowne writes the most amazing guys ever. Ever. There's not one of her books where I'm not in love with a guy by the time I'm done. And don't tell my husband I said that. But it's so true. They're these awesome guys, and these aren't like books full of sex. They're not like that at all. These are books that are like really just awesome stories about amazing guys. So that's why, by the way, you girls are falling in love with Taylor and Greg, and oh, you haven't even met Tony yet, but wait till North Anger Alibi, and Chase, because I've learned how to write amazing guys because of this author. So really study your books. Study your favorite books. What do you love the most? These are the authors that are inspiring you to write. They're the whole reason why you started to write to begin with. You read their stories and you were like, hey, I want to try this. So that's your home fun assignment. Get down your favorite book and read it, okay? And really, really study, and then apply it. I'm going to have some examples of pacing below. I hope I didn't confuse you too much. I am trying to keep this shorter than last week, and it looks like it didn't work. But anyway, I will talk to you later. Thank you. Bye.